Hello and welcome to another Accessibility TV review. This time I'm looking at the Sony Bravia KD55XF8577, which is a 55-inch 4K HD television running Android TV OS. In particular, this review is for those who live in the UK and are interested in features like BBC iPlayer and Youview, and also is primarily for those who are blind and visually impaired. We'll focus our review on the accessibility features of this TV. Before we get started, it's worth making clear this TV has quite a few options. We have two screen readers, TalkBack, which you'll be used to if you use Android, and a screen reader called Screen Reader. And we also have a number of different program guides. We have Youview and we have the Sony EPG program guide as well. So I'm going to try and show you differences between those. Along with, we have Freeview and we also have satellite reception. It's not FreeSat, but there is an inbuilt satellite receiver. So I'm trying to give you an overview. Some work in different ways, so I'll show the same function a few different ways where I can. So without further ado, let's jump into this review. Having compiled my review, which you'll see in a second, which is in essence a load of demos with different modes turned on and off, I'm going to give you a quick summary of my thoughts on this TV, which is that it's poor. It's really, really poor. It's a really frustrating TV to use. And if you can buy a different TV, I would do. So if you bought it, send it back. I think it's poor in terms of accessibility. They've obviously tried to put a lot in the box, but it just doesn't work very well. It's inconsistent. It's not well integrated. Some bits work in some places, other bits work in other places. It's just a really frustrating TV to use with and without the accessibility features. So I don't recommend it. But if you're interested in the detail and you can cope with the effectively four options, which is the two screen readers and the two different guides, please continue to watch. My demos will cover the following: the remote control, the current program, changing programs, the program guides, the apps, the casting features, the accessibility menu, the annoying moments, and a summary. Enjoy. Like every TV in the world, this TV has a remote control, and I'm very pleased to report that it has very feelable buttons, so it's very good for those who are blind or visually impaired. At the top we have the usual kind of on and off button, and there's a Google Assistant button where you can talk to the TV. The remote has an inbuilt microphone, and you can change the input method. You can change to HDMI from TV, and you can also change between aerial connection and satellite. It has an inbuilt satellite receiver. You have the number buttons as normal, and there's also direct buttons for Netflix and Google Play, color buttons, and then buttons to take you to the App Store, along with Sony's kind of featured store thingy. There's a home button and settings, and at the bottom you can pause TV if you have a separate USB stick that you plug in, which I haven't tried yet. Knowing what channel and program you are watching. As mentioned earlier, the TV has a number of different program guides and screen readers. So at the moment I'm using Youview with the screen reader TalkBack. I'm watching a TV channel, but if I press select on the remote control,
UltraHD Android TV, January 2017, 13 hours, 43 minutes and 18 seconds.
I don't know if you could have heard that, but in essence it hasn't actually told me what I'm watching. It gave me a lot of information, but didn't actually tell me anything useful. If I press the select button again and then press the right or down button, so it does kind of read you what's on now if you press down, and if you continue pressing down it tells you what's coming up later on. However, you have to be really quick about it because it disappears. So I'll try that again for you, and I'll keep pressing it and you'll see how quickly that disappears.
Youview 37. Pointless celebrities. 6:20 p.m. Michael leaving tires fish. 7:10 p.m. The greatest dancer. 8:10 p.m. Youview 37.8.
So it disappeared very quickly. As you saw there, they actually read you the program name before it read you the time it started. The other issue, at no point does it tell you what channel you are actually viewing. I've switched to the screen reader called Screen Reader, and now I'm going to try the same action again. If I press the select button on the remote control and then pressing down, the channel option information changes at the bottom there, but Screen Reader doesn't actually read you anything at all. So in that case, TalkBack is more accessible on this option. So now we're using the Screen Reader TalkBack without Youview, so i.e. with the Sony program guide. Now if I press the select button to try and get some program information, nothing happens. If I press this button though on the remote control next to the 0, left of the 0, information does appear on screen about the program I'm viewing, but it won't read it to me. I can press up and down, left and right, but no information. Just to so you know the screen reader is actually working, I'm going to press the up volume. So it is working, so it's just not reading to us at all. Now I'm using the Sony program guide, i.e. without Youview, and the screen reader called Screen Reader. And let's see if we can work out what I'm watching on TV. So we press the select button, nothing. Let's press this button up here on the left of the 0, and it brings up program information, but it doesn't read to me at all, annoyingly. What about changing channels and knowing what channel and program I've come onto? Using TalkBack along with Youview, if I change the channel and I go down,
Youview 37.8 Android. Default on user the 18th of January 2017, 13 hours, 43 minutes and 18 seconds. WebView.
despite all that talking, it hasn't actually told me anything useful, like what channel I'm on or what program I'm watching. Change it again.
Youview 37.8 Android. Default on user the 18th of January 2017, 13 hours, 43 minutes and 18 seconds. WebView.
So again, nothing particularly useful is mentioned. Now let's change channels with Youview and a screen reader called Screen Reader. I press the up button on the remote control and I'll press it now. As you see, it changes the channel. It takes a bit of a while, but it does change the channel, but it doesn't tell me what channel I've arrived on or what program I am watching. I'll do that again. So now using the Screen Reader TalkBack without Youview, i.e. with the Sony program guide, I can press the up button to change channels.
Program guide.
Beautiful is this Lithuanian table with
And I'll go up another channel. And as you can see, although it's changing the channels, it doesn't give us any indication about what channel we've turned onto and what program is being shown. Now let's change channel with the Screen Reader and the Sony program guide. I press the up program button. And I'll do it again, and as you can see, it doesn't tell me what channel I'm on or what program is being shown. Let's look at the program guide provided as part of the Youview system. And at the moment we're using TalkBack. So on the remote control, if I hit the guide button,
Youview 37.8 Android. Default on user the 18th of January 2017.
so the audio,
3 minutes and 18 seconds. WebView.
the audio of the TV still continues in the background, unfortunately. I will turn it down a little bit, but
Volume icon. Music volume set to 10%.
so now at 10%. If you come down, so
11 a.m.
TalkBack
30 a.m.
is highlighting where we are on screen,
12 p.m.
but it's reading it like a table across one row at a time,
07.
and then jumps to the top to talk about dates.
09. 10. Fry. 11. F.
Go a bit quicker here. As you can see,
Fry. 18.
that it's actually no use whatsoever.
13. 10 o'clock 11. The Andrew Marr Show.
Oh, so now it tells us what we're actually watching,
The Andrew Marr Show. Sunday politics.
and then tells us what we've got coming up next on the channel we're on.
The big questions. Saturday kitchen best bites.
And then that's a program on the next channel. I didn't announce that we're on a new row at all.
Mary Bear's Hook. The Hairy Biker's Northern Exposure. You've been framed. Gold.
So now we're on ITV. I would obviously describe this as accessibility in terms of, well, it talks to us, but actually it's not usable in any way, shape or form. The information being provided isn't in context in any way, shape or form. So the Youview screen with TalkBack, I think, is inaccessible. We're now going to try using the Youview program guide with the screen reader called Screen Reader. So if I hit the program guide button, and the TV audio continues in the background, and if I press down, nothing is read at all. It's completely, nothing is read at all. So using the Sony program guide without Youview with the TalkBack screen reader, if I press the guide button, this is the experience we get. And it's the program guide is in a kind of column row table layout. And I've gone in here, pressed the guide button, it's loaded, it hasn't told me what I'm on. If I press down, press down a few times, push right, it doesn't read me anything at all. So this is not particularly useful. Electronic program guide from Sony with TalkBack. Nope, reading me nothing at all. Let me press back to TV.
Content bar.
So it's gone back there. Come out. Let me try one more time. Let me press guide again. Nope. I press select on the one I'm on. Nothing. Yep, so the program guide doesn't work with TalkBack without Youview. So now let's use the program guide using the screen reader, and this is using the Sony program guide. So if I press it on the remote control, the guide button. Okay, so this tells me what I am watching, and it's in a table layout with rows and columns. If I go right, so I've gone left again.
The ramblings of Gina are certified not
So this does actually tell me what channel I'm looking at in terms of in the program guide, and the program that is on. If I go right and left, it tells me what is on next. And if I want to review one, if I just press on one of the programs, it's shown at the moment. There's a view button, I can hit on that. So using a program guide with screen reader as a screen reader and without Youview, i.e. with the Sony program guide, is accessible. What is worth noting about the program guide is that I was showing you there with Freeview, but if I turn onto the satellite receiver, and you can do this by changing the inputs, if I go press the input button and go down to general satellite. So this is not FreeSat, this is just kind of a satellite receiver. But if I go into the program guide here, so although it gives you some information, there's actually much less information on the screen. So for example, so many channels say no event information, which is really annoying. So you can click on this no event information. So event information not available. Now that is annoying. You can actually go in and view the channel. But yeah, so much of the stuff on the satellite view is missing from the program guide. So although the channels are there, there's no program information. That doesn't seem to affect Freeview, but it does seem to affect the satellite receiver. One of the big sell features of this TV is the inbuilt Google Assistant. Unfortunately, its ability is slightly reduced if you use the Youview program guide. If I press and hold, well, firstly it's unbelievably slow, which is really frustrating. But if I press and hold to try and change channel and go,
Maybe you need to look at yourself again. We do that all the time in Britain, don't we?
Sure, absolutely.
That's what your programme does every week.
turn channel to Sky News.
What's happened in Parliament at the moment, and this idea that there is an agreement being struck between the Speaker and Conservative rebels, which would allow the House of Commons, as the House of Commons, to take back control of its own
Sky News,
timetable
channel
from the government,
976
from
paid
the
subscribers.
First of all, do you
So
think
this
that
is
would
this is showing us the results related to YouTube, and you can also see how slow that was. Using the Sony program guide, i.e. without Youview, I should be able to change the channel using the Google Assistant, which I showed before. So if I press and hold, it still takes a while.
She's a strong woman and I'm here because of her.
Turn channel Sky News.
When I walk out on that stage, I'm gonna give everything.
So it did work, although it does take a while, and it doesn't work in the Youview mode. You can also use your Google Home and Amazon Echo devices to control the TV, so you don't need to always use your remote control. This is a bit temperamental at times, but let's give this a go. So, OK Google, turn off Sony TV.
Sure, turning the Sony TV off.
OK Google, turn on Sony TV.
Sure, turning on the Sony TV.
The end of the big membership
11:24.
things,
OK Google,
ability to start.
set volume to 10 on Sony TV.
Around the country, the 17.4 million people voted to leave. It's not a perfect plan, but it's the most orderly way of getting it.
Youview 37.8 Android default on use the 18th of January 2017, 13 hours, 43 minutes and 18 seconds. Webview.
So it did change the volume there. Now, I believe because we're using Youview at the moment that I can't change the channel using the Google Assistant, but I'll give it a go. OK Google, turn channel to Sky News.
Sorry, I can't find any news about turn channel to Sky.
I will try that in a moment using the without Youview being enabled. But to show you this can work the same way with Alexa. Alexa, turn off Sony TV.
Okay.
Let's try it one more time. Alexa, turn off Sony TV.
Okay.
There we go. And you can turn it on. Alexa, turn on Sony TV.
Okay.
The default position
11:25.
drop out without a deal.
Alexa, set volume to 15 on Sony TV.
Article 50, we do not have to go down this road. And of course, whether it be through an election, whether it be through a new referendum, the European Union has been clear that they would extend Article 50 to...
That didn't work. We'll try again. Alexa, set volume to 15 on Sony TV.
True or fair to say that this is
Volume icon.
Okay.
There we go. We'll try and change channel, but I said I don't think it works with Youview. Alexa, turn channel to Dave on Sony TV.
to say who voted leave, who...
That command doesn't work on device Sony TV.
Using the Sony program TV guide rather than the Youview, we should be able to control the TV, including changing channel, using the Google Home or Amazon Echo devices. So let's give it a go. Alexa, turn channel to BBC One HD on Sony TV.
Okay.
OK Google, turn channel to ITV on Sony TV.
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that.
She can do it. Let's try again. OK Google, turn channel to iTV on Sony TV?
My apologies, I don't understand.
After trying many times, I've basically given up in terms of this review. It has worked before, but like most things with this TV, it's pretty temperamental, and the Google is not playing ball with Sony TV at the moment, so it can change volumes and turn it on and off, but it can't at the moment change channels. Slightly frustrating. One of the most compelling reasons to get this Sony Bravia TV, and probably the reason that I most wanted to check it out, was that it runs Android TV OS, which is very exciting, and that basically gives you many apps that are developed for Android, so it really excites me. In terms of accessibility, the kind of app screen, which we're on now, is accessible. Now at the moment we're using Screen Reader. I will show you it using TalkBack shortly. So it's all pretty accessible, no problems. Of course, the real proof of the pudding is how accessible are the apps when you go into them. So if I go into Netflix, as you'd probably expect, across virtually any device ever, Netflix is pretty accessible. It's just loading the Netflix screen now. And we're just waiting.
On the profile selection screen, who's watching Netflix?
So I'm just going to pick my profile.
Playing.
Oh, I think I've played something by accident. I hit select.
21 seconds remaining.
Don't actually want to play that at the moment. So I come back to the menu screen.
Popular on Netflix row. 75 titles in this row. But in the trending now row. 75 titles in this row. Luther. Homeland. She's bipolar, controversial, and has a thing for dysfunctional men. Line of Duty.
So that perfectly reads to you all okay.
Now this ostracized cop must
If I
in the search and menu navigation.
come back out of this Netflix.
In the search and menu navigation. For you.
One problem I have with the Sony TV is that its usability in terms of like going back isn't ideal. Let's come back onto TV for a second there. If I go back into the App Store and let's go into BBC iPlayer as an example.
Loading. Please wait.
So loads BBC iPlayer. And I'll select my profile. And I can navigate, but it doesn't talk to me at all. So obviously individual apps work in different ways, but generally what I think you'll find is that anything to do with the UK on-demand services like BBC iPlayer, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5 aren't accessible at all. But yes, that's BBC iPlayer, doesn't talk at all. I can play with other apps if I go back to the app screen.
Amazon Video, BBC iPlayer, ITV Player, all 4. Demand 5. BBC News.
So most of these aren't accessible. A few are. I said Netflix is the best example, so is YouTube. But generally, I think you have to say that the many apps aren't accessible. One app that I did think was quite accessible is a karaoke app called Singer. That seemed to be relatively good. Kind of depends how they're built and developed, to be honest. Now let's try using the App Store with TalkBack. So when I load it and go down, see the tiles.
Sony Select, row 1, column 1, in grid featured apps, 2 rows, 22 columns.
So it gives me a better idea of where I am on the screen. It kind of gives me that kind of column row layout a bit better.
Amazon Video, column 2. Press Google Play Movies and TV, row 2. Press select to activate. Youview, column 3. Press select to activate.
So the main screen is accessible. If I go into Netflix, like generally is the case, Netflix is pretty accessible. It's just loading at the moment.
On the profile selection screen. Who's what?
So I go into my profile.
On the browse. In the popular on Netflix row. 75 titles in this row. You. Watch season 1 now. Bird Box. Stay silent. Tidying up with Marie Kondo.
So again, pretty
Watch
accessible.
season 1 now.
But if I come back
Interior
out
Home Makeovers, world-renowned high home screen.
and go into BBC iPlayer,
Selected information from Sony. Sony Select, row 1, Amazon Video, column 2, BBC iPlayer,
so now this is
loading.
even worse than not being accessible.
Loading. Please wait. HBB TV launcher.
If we go into this, hit select to go into my profile, it loads the main screen. But if I use TalkBack, which I'm at the moment, I can't do anything. It doesn't talk to me, but I can't even move the cursor. The whole thing just will not work at all. This is, I don't know what to say about this. This is atrocious, to be honest. Really, really poor. I don't know the full background of what iPlayer and ITV and Co do. Well, I'm not sure what HBB thing is, but yeah, it completely doesn't work with TalkBack, to the point that it actually doesn't even work if you've got TalkBack enabled. So if you do get this TV, you need to use speech. Don't go into iPlayer, otherwise you won't be able to do anything at all. I hit back
home screen.
back to the apps menu.
Selected. Sony Select, row 1, column 1, in grid featured apps.
And if I go into, say, all 4, it will basically do the same thing.
Youview. Youview.
Oh, it wants me to enable Youview. That's one of the problems, actually, that most of these apps are tied to the Youview system, but as you've seen in other parts of this video, the Youview system is less accessible than the Sony Electronic Program Guide, hence I've turned it off. But here you can't use the channel 4 OD catch-up system. So you kind of catch-22, really. I'll come back out of that.
All 4. Press select. Demand 5. BBC News.
And again, if you go into, say, BBC News, a bit like with iPlayer.
Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait.
You can't even navigate at all. They won't talk to you. Oh, an option's come up, but I can't do anything to select it.
Home screen.
I've actually managed to get out of that.
BBC News. Press Chili Cinema. Press select. 2 goggles. Spotify Music for Android. 2 goggles. Chili Cinema. Disney Live.
So it reads the main screen, which is good, but yeah, apart from that, it's not the most accessible app store in the world.
Games out of grid apps. Asphalt Nitro. Press select to activate.
One of the other major selling features of this TV, because it runs Android TV OS, is the inbuilt Chromecast feature, which on paper sounds really good. Unfortunately, in reality, it actually doesn't perform as well as my standalone, about 4-year-old Chromecast. The number of times it will disconnect and buffer is significant compared to my own Chromecast. So although I won't demo this on this video, I did want to point out that when I've tried that with both YouTube and with BBC iPlayer, I found the performance of the inbuilt Chromecast app to be poor. Now, when I look at other reviews of TVs in terms of accessibility on YouTube, they seem to focus quite heavily on the accessibility menu, which to me is a bit pointless, really, because what the accessibility menu says and what happens in reality are two different things. But let's have a look at it anyway, very quickly. We come down through the apps that we have available to settings.
Digital settings, selected, network settings, selected, settings, channel setup, external display.
So we're now in the settings menu.
Storage, initial set, about, network, Google Cast, Bluetooth settings, voice remote control, recording device setup, system preference, date and time, language, keyboard, accessibility.
Finally, we get to accessibility.
Subtitle, in list, 8 items.
Obviously, I haven't turned on subtitles. That doesn't really help me much.
High contrast text, experimental,
so
switch.
High contrast text basically just takes away the blues and more kind of gives you a black and white setup.
Services, heading. TalkBack on. Press select to activate.
So you can go in here and this is how you turn on and off TalkBack, and you can do some configuration, but the actual kind of speed of the talking is actually configured lower down under the text to speech option.
Switch access off. Press select to activate.
I haven't tried that.
Text magnification off. Press select to activate.
Again, I haven't tried that because I've been mainly focused on the speech.
Screen reader off. Press
So
select to activate.
in this review, as you've seen, I've been switching between TalkBack and Screen Reader. So they both have pros and cons.
Text to speech.
And this is text to speech option. If I go into that,
Google text to speech engine ticked radio button in list 7 items. Engine configuration. Press select to activate.
so I've gone into that.
Language, use system language, in list, settings for Google text-to-speech engine. Install voice data, install the voice data required for speech synthesis.
So in theory, if you really wanted eloquence or one of the other voices, I suppose you could install your own. Come back up a level.
Engine configuration, general, heading, speech rate, speed at which the text is spoken. Listen to an example, play a short demonstration of speech synthesis. Default language status, English, United Kingdom, is fully supported.
So you've got quite a few text-to-speech options there, which is quite good. That's the accessibility menu. While filming this review, I've had to turn on and off different modes on this TV. But I just want to give you an example of why this TV is just so frustrating to use. And things just sometimes work and sometimes not work. So when you turn off Youview and you want to retune the satellite, you've got to go through the digital tuning function again, as the Youview feature basically makes it forget all about the satellite, including previous tunings. But as in this example, if I go into the menu, the settings menu,
Home screen.
and this is the main kind of home menu, and you come down to settings,
TV control asphalt, digital, selected.
and you go to settings.
Selected. Settings. Channel setup in list 36.
So that's what I want channel set up. I go into that, and I come down,
Analog setup, selected. Digital setup.
digital setup, I press select,
TV settings broadcast.
and it just doesn't do anything. It just exits. So to fix it, I'm going to have to turn the TV off
Settings.
and turn the TV back on. Okay,
Digital setup.
so we're back in the settings menu. Let's try again.
Select to activate. TV settings broadcast.
Still doesn't work. Okay, let's try again. Let's go into settings.
Home screen.
Let's come all the way down.
Digital in list. Selected. Selected. Settings. Channel setup in list 30. Analog setup. Digital setup. TV settings broadcast.
Hearing problem or a problem with sight.
And it still doesn't work.
If the technology were available,
This is an example of just why this TV is so frustrating. So, how can I overcome this issue that I can't get to that tuning menu? I think I have to do kind of a hard reboot of this TV. Not a reset, a reboot, like you do with a computer. This is Android at the end of the day. So if I press and hold the button on the remote control that turns the TV off, but I press and hold it, it kind of does like a hard turn off. So I do that now. It takes a few seconds of holding, and it turns off. And just before it went off, a kind of white message appeared on the screen. So we'll give it a couple of seconds, I'll turn it back on, and what you'll notice is that it doesn't instantly jump back onto a TV channel. It kind of does the usual kind of Android loading with the little dots that turn around. So it takes much longer to load, and it's loading now. As you can see, it takes a little bit of a while. It's still loading. It's still loading. But at least the system is being completely rebooted. And oh, there's the Android logo. And we are nearly there. Well, I hope we're nearly there. Oh, here we go. We're now back on the TV, and now I can go ahead and do that retuning again. So in summary, this Sony Android TV I personally find to be frustrating in many ways, with the accessibility and without accessibility, from slow changing of channels to inconsistent usage around Google Assistant, to what happens when you've got Youview turned on and turned off, and what happens if you're using the satellite, or what happens if you're using Freeview, through to what happens if you use TalkBack and Screen Reader, or both, or neither. I find the whole thing inconsistent and frustrating, buggy at best, and annoying. And I'm personally very disappointed in the experience being offered. I find the TV slow. I blame Sony for that. They should have put in a better processor. It's slow even without the screen readers turned on. It's just an annoying TV to own. The information provided, I just don't think is good enough in terms of the voice feedback. And this TV will certainly be returned, as I just don't believe it offers in reality what is promised in the sales guide. So I hope you find that review useful, and if you have a different experience of using this TV, especially from an accessibility point of view, do let me know. Thanks for viewing.